Hello everyone, welcome back to Easily Brief. So the day has come to finally fill up and start running the 50-gallon Infinity Series by Mode Aquarium. So if you guys haven't checked out the initial video or any of the other videos I've done on not only this tank but the whole series of brand new Infinity Series from Mode Aquariums, be sure to check those two videos out. Obviously, if there's any specs you're interested in, pricing, anything of that sort, I'm going to have a link in the description, so at the very end you can check it out. So in today's video, guys, we're just pretty much going to be showing you guys some tips, wire management tips, salt mixing tips, a few tips out there, so be sure to watch to the very end. It's not just going to be the filling of water, although the filling of water is actually what I'm pretty excited for, as I'm sure you guys are as well. So with this tank, guys, one of the last pieces I was missing was a pump, a circulation pump. Now, circulation pump, I was on the fence in between going with an Ecotech or doing the Reef Octopus. At the end of the day, I did the Reef Octopus mainly because BRS released a video, I think last week, on the top selling pumps they have. And really, based on what they said, being one of the best pumps, more reliable, super quiet, and Reef Octopus being a well-respected brand, I said, you know what, the hell with it, let's try it. Plus it matches my color scheme, red and white. So I went and picked up the Vario 6 pump. Now, one of the great features about this pump, guys, it obviously, like I said, matches my colors, but it does have feed mode. It has a lot of the great features you find in the DC pumps. It does have a float switch. A float switch was a big selling point. Actually, I've never seen any pump come with something like that. So whenever the water level gets lower than wherever you put the float switch, the pump automatically shuts off. If you do have an Apex, it is Apex ready. Then guys, when they say this thing is silent, it is dead silent. I absolutely cannot hear it. So in opening up the box, you get a manual, you get a barb fitting. This is for any hose. You get two 1 1/4 unions if you want to do any hard plumbing. You get a power cord and a power brick. Here you can see the float switch and the mount. Coming to the end, you have the controller, which is very fancy. Love the colors, very simple to use. And lastly, the beast pump. Now here are all the parts laid out, everything you're going to need. Personally, I went with the barb fitting, so all you got to do is pretty much put it in your sump and get it going. So as we get closer to filling the tank, guys, you want to make sure your PVC is all done, because once you do put water, the tank's going to be probably impossible to move, or if you do move, it's going to be pretty dangerous because all the weight's going to be on the stand. Last thing you want to do is the stand or anything collapsing and then be an utter mess. So now's a good time to go over all your PVC. If you haven't glued it like myself, be sure to glue it. While we're on the topic of gluing, I have a great tip for you guys. So when gluing PVC, guys, a method I've learned and what I know works, and more importantly, it looks super clean, is, let's say for instance you take the elbow. When you have your glue, you apply glue inside the elbow. You do not apply it to the actual PVC itself. Then what you do, while inserting the PVC into the elbow, you do a twisting motion all at the same time, and you guys can see it leaves a very clean joint, no glue coming out, and believe me guys, it's super strong. Here you can see the whole finished product. Again, there's no glue anywhere. Looks really nice, clean, professional, and it really makes it look like you know what you're doing, right? Because at the end of the day, once we're done with this, we don't have to mess with it again. Now is also a good time to level your tank. If your stand is able to be leveled, be sure to level it, because last thing you want is fill it up with water, because then it's going to be nearly impossible to move it. Now for me personally, guys, a lot of my power bricks like this are going to be mounted to the rear of the tank. I know what a lot of you guys are saying, wait, aren't you worried about splashing? Honestly, I'm not. In my previous tank, I never had any splashing in the back, so I'm not worried about it. But one way to help and make it splash proof, not waterproof, is to add some silicone to both ends. These are obviously open ends and are very prone to, if there is water, for them to go in it. Also, another quick tip is the power cord side, which is the bottom here. Install it with that facing down. So I use Velcro to put this on the back with that facing down. Why? Because that does have an opening. Again, the hot glue is there, so if ever you do need to do maintenance, it's very easy to take it apart, or service it without any problem. First time ever I actually added RODI water to the tank and mix it inside the tank. I'd never done it this way, but guys, from now in the future, I'm always going to do it this way for a lot of reasons. You know, if the tank does start leaking, you don't waste any salt. You can easily empty it out. So it's kind of like a leak test as well you can do here. But yeah, it's very straightforward. Make your RODI water. Obviously, it took me about the whole day. It took about 50 gallons of water to do this. Luckily, you guys get to see it a lot quicker. But you guys are going to see why I don't add the sand yet. I'm going to explain it here in a little bit. But it's very straightforward. You want to add the water and then obviously add a pump inside so you can mix it. If you do fill up the tank all the way, you can have your main DC pump be the mixing, so you don't have to worry about it. So once you do have it filled, guys, what you are going to want to do is obviously add the salt. You can do what I did. I did it when I was about halfway there while I was waiting for RO water to be made. If you want to wait till the whole thing is filled and have the main DC pump mix it, you can do that as well. If you're going to do it my way, just make sure there is a circulation pump inside to mix the water. Now the salt I went with, guys, and I've used this in the past, which is why I trust it yet again, is Fritz. I went with the blue salt because it has a lower alkalinity. It's closer to what I'm going to be running mine, which is 8 DKH. I've had great success there. But you can see here, you don't want to throw the salt in there. You just want to gently mix it. And this is going to allow for it not to really clog up. And obviously the circulation, which is the Nero 5 I have in the back, it's kind of hard to see, is going to be doing all the mixing for you. Now again, you want to add it slowly. Don't go crazy with it. Patience, as it is, you're waiting for the RO water, so there really isn't much of a rush. Now the reason I don't put sand in the tank yet is because I don't want the salt, as you see falling, to fall onto the sand, which is then going to be a little bit harder to mix. That's not saying it won't mix, it probably still would mix, but this way I'm able to visually see it, you know, and able to see the salt fully gone. It's not on the glass itself on the bottom. So this is why personally I don't add any sand yet, and just makes it a little bit easier to do it this way, in my opinion. I will tell you this though, guys, from now on I'm always going to fill a tank like this, especially when a new tank. Now one thing I want to tell you guys, please never do this with a livestock in the tank, because that will be very, very bad news. You'll probably kill coral, you'll probably kill fish. So if you are doing this, guys, never do it with any fish or coral in the tank. Up next is adding the sand. The sand I went with, and the sand I always trust, is Carib Sea. I've always used it. I love it, so it's why I'm using it again. I'm going with the live sand for various reasons. Honestly, believe it or not really for the fast cycling. I'm mainly going with it because it doesn't have as much dust as the dry stuff. But then again, it does speed up the cycle, which is another big plus. And the sand here is the Beamy Pink. I've done the Reef grade. I loved it. Beamy Pink, I figured something different, so why not try it out? The next thing, guys, is obviously going to be to add the sand to the tank. You can see here, that's very simple. Cut off the end, insert the bag just a little bit in the tank, and really just start spraying it. I like to build a little mountain in one corner, then once it gets pretty high, I'll build it on the other corner on the opposite end. It's very important, guys, when you are doing your aquascape like this, to always put your sand after your rock. The reason you do that is because you don't want your rock on top of your sand, because if you do have a goby or a snail or something like digging on the bottom, last thing you want is them digging a little tunnel on the bottom, which then causes the rockscape to fall over, hit the glass, breaks, water, divorce. I mean, the list goes on and on. It won't be a good day. So it's very important to do this. Generally, when I do put the sand, I like to lift my rockscape up just a hair so some sand can go on the bottom, very little, and I just feel it's a better cushion. But again, you don't need to do it this way, but you for sure want to put your rockscape first, then the sand. If you do put your rockscape after the sand, just make sure you wiggle it all the way to the bottom to get it as close to the glass as possible. So now the last thing, once you are comfortable with the sand and however much you want to run, generally, me personally, I like to run about 1 inch, get something to kind of level it out, spread it evenly, and really just allow it to clear up over time. Guys, that's going to conclude this week's video on the new tank. I'm really excited. It's finally up and running. You know, it took a little bit to get it going, but all in all, I'm very happy with the came out. You know, from the new Illumagic LED minis I have here, obviously I got 2 of them. Very happy. I ended up hanging those bad boys. I'm super happy with these. Obviously, I'm gonna have future updates showing you guys these lights. Oh yes, another thing I want to show you guys, the tank is actually running no flow. The Nero 5 is completely off. It's not even running. And look at the surface agitation, guys. This is just with the two returns here. Look at all the surface agitation. Obviously, the better surface agitation, you do have the better oxygen exchange, CO2, so on and so forth. Typically, your tank won't run with that bad of pH. It'll typically run a little bit higher. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but it's always good to have it. Very happy with the Rockscape. Actually, beyond happy with it. You can see my flipper there kind of got stuck, but I'll grab it out later. The sand you guys saw, I put in the Beamy Pink. I noticed it was going to be too thin. Not too thin, but the grain size was too small. So I had to go ahead and, as you guys witnessed, had to siphon it out. I didn't need to get it 100% out, but mostly it's all gone. So the sand I'm actually going to replace it with is going to be the Reef grade. And the Reef grade, that's actually what I had before. I just trust a lot more with flow, especially the SPS plans for this tank. I think it's going to be a lot better. Very happy with how the bottom came out. You can see the great white Delua. She's running a little bit wet right now. You can see pulling out a bunch of stuff. As it breaks in, it's obviously going to get better, but then again, that goes with any skimmer. Very happy with the plumbing. Beyond happy with the Various 6 pump. This thing is dead silent. I do not hear it whatsoever. The sump right now at the moment is a little bit loud. I forgot to ask for 4-inch socks. When I picked up the tank, I told him I wasn't going to run the socks. I was going to put a cup. Never ordered the cup. So right now it's a little bit loud, but again, that's just because there's no socks in there. Once you do install that, this thing will be dead silent. I'm happy with the top. The top overflow is dead silent. So very happy with it so far. I really like the removable cabinets. You guys can see I can remove this panel, that panel. That panel there, I kind of made it so it's not removable. Obviously, I did put this bad boy there. I could always remove it and then it'll be removable, but for now I mounted it there just because it's a piece of equipment that I like looking at. Not only that, but when I go feed the tank and so on, it's easy accessible. Wire management was pretty difficult, guys. Generally in a Reef tank you have back panels, side panels that are fixed to the stand, not removable like this. If you fix something to these, you got to make sure you don't remove them. A lot of people were asking me, how in the hell are you going to do your wire management? Very simple, guys. Takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of thinking, but we got it there. We got the panel, power strip panel mounted to the top. You can see everything's nice, tidy. You don't really see any wires in the tank. Later I'll have a wire management video so you guys can get an idea of how I did this and how you can replicate it. If you can manage your wires with this little space, believe me, in a cabinet, I'll be able to do miracles in it. But yeah, very happy with it. If ever I do need to add another strip, I can just put it right side by side. I think for the first intro video, I think we're gonna end it here. Obviously expect a lot more future videos coming up on this. I have tons of topics I want to talk about. Believe me, tons of topics. So stay tuned. I think you guys are in for a great new episode on this new 50-gallon Infinity Mode Series tank. If you guys like to check out the tank or any other of the Infinity Mode Series, be sure to check out my description with the link to their website. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment box below. As always, thanks for watching. Happy reefing.